What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the WASD and Beyond HOTFIX
Podcast
podcast. HOTFIX, whatever. I'm back from COVID, so
main episode.
took a nice week break with COVID. Um,
I
and
know you had a great
apparently,
time.
these guys on the show were saying I was licking handrails, which didn't
Uh,
happen.
no, I got pictures.
I wasn't licking no goddamn handrails, bro.
We have pictures of him walking around Royal Oak like a complete goblin, just trying
When
to
the fuck was
lick
I?
every single public space he could.
You know the problem is with that statement though.
Hmm.
When I've been drunk at Gus. When we've been drunk together at Gus, I was like, it'd be sweet if I just got like
Lick this
COVID, I wouldn't have
handrail.
to work for like a week.
Yeah, and then lo and behold, he
I get
gets it, and
COVID.
that's like, it's like, what's funny is that everybody else we go to Gus Lane with, none of us make those statements, and it never happens. Knock on wood. So
Yeah, no, everyone else is fine for the most part, which is good. I'm glad that no one else really has dealt with this yet. Makes me happy. Just be safe out there, everybody. Just be safe. That's
still
all I got
ain't
to say
got it.
about COVID.
I'm 2.5 years into this mess. I still ain't got it. My mom got it, and I didn't get it.
I got no time for it, even though I just had it.
I just be hanging out, man. It's because I'm chill. I think it's because of my relaxed demeanor
Can you
that
talk in
COVID
Zan
goes.
speak really quick?
What?
Zan speak.
I don't think you can say that on
Why?
live TV. I don't know.
Not bad. It's just people who fucking drugged out.
Yeah, we want those people to get better. I don't think it's right if
I want
not.
you to get better, but
What do you mean? This implies that I'm not feeling too.
you're
good.
fine. You're fine. Anyways, back to the hot fix before we completely go off rail. Actually, no. This podcast is sponsored by Final Boss and Dr. Longy. Check them out. I'm currently wearing the Final Boss Portal shirt. They just did an insane drop with the Gabe Newell t-shirt, Manhunt 1 and 2. They got Max Payne coming up. They got Parappa the Rappa coming up. That's going to be
Cool guy.
dope fucking drop.
I've seen him at the club before. He's a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, Parappa's great, buddy. He's great.
Yeah, Parappa the
But
Rappa.
Parappa the Rappa. I thought I was going to fuck that up for sure, and I didn't. But yeah, so check out our sponsors, and we love them, and they put clothes on our back. And yeah. This week's episode of the Hot Fix is going back to form with Halo. We are now on episode 7 and 8. And the last episode comes out.
Did we cover 6?
Yeah, we covered 6. We did
I don't
5
think
and
we
6.
covered 6.
Yeah, we did.
Whatever.
Yeah. Because we did 6.
Just putting seeds of doubt into his
Yeah,
mind.
you're fucking with me. So I'm about to make Evan really pissed off right now.
That's pretty hard. I'm actually widely considered one of the calmest people that Nick has ever met.
It'll probably irritate you. I didn't watch episode 7. I skipped it.
Why'd you skip it? Was that the Quan episode?
Yeah, I watched the synopsis, and everyone's like, you don't need this episode. Just here's the well.
It was actually pretty good. It was a good episode.
I'm going to go back and watch it, but just to get the episode out, I was like, okay, I know episode 8 is like the main focus right now.
I mean, you didn't even... So wait, you didn't watch the one episode of the series where the character you hate the most gets killed by Master Chief 5 times in a dream sequence?
Are you serious?
This is why you don't read the synopsis and you watch the episodes.
Okay, so I need to go watch that just to watch Quan die a couple times then.
Yeah, I mean, he's in it both with the helmet on and off. He doesn't say a word.
Right.
But yeah.
So
go
into episode 7. Let's talk about what episode 7 is and what it's about and how that led into episode 8 then. Because you and I will be talking more about episode 8.
It doesn't necessarily really lead into it so much as it just kind of gives her more purpose in whatever way they try to give her purpose for the 9th episode, the season finale. Because he's in it, but he's in it in a dream sequence. He's not actually on the planet, and it's basically just her and Soren having a buddy cop adventure movie, where she kind of proves her worth in that she's smart and able. It's like she's somewhat able to take care of herself now. That guy that you made fun of for getting out of the pool with the cigar that's naked is dead.
Oh, thank God. That guy sucks.
He gets burnt to a crisp along with all of his goons. Yeah, he gets burnt to a crisp at the little place where the first episode took place, their little mining thing.
Yeah, the outpost, yeah.
Soren, they do a little bit of a Soren thing where you think he's going to die because he gets shot in the neck, but he lives because he's a badass. And that's pretty much it. And then it was kind of like at the end, kind of like almost like a Top Gun ending where it's like she says something and then he's like, you can be my wingman anytime. But it's basically the opposite where it's like she says like he says like I hope to never see you again or something like that, and she makes some joke about it, and it's just like, yeah, they're cool with each other. Might not like each other, but like they respect each other. There's a respect there now. So as far as I know, Soren goes back to his place with a whole bunch of money like he was promised, and she kind of is able to do whatever she does now because Venture's gone, and like whatever. I have no idea what's going to happen with that, but yeah, like then there is something special about Madrigal that they still haven't really revealed yet, and I'm curious to see how they tie that in for the finale, because in season or in episode 8 they don't really discuss, if I remember correctly, Madrigal at all.
No,
It's
not at all.
not even brought up, so I'm curious how they're going to tie that in. It must be a pretty, maybe not a pretty long episode, but something tells me it's going to feel just pretty forced, because it's like you should have just led with it from the first episode of this planet being special, which I don't think you really did with
Thank you.
the artifact. Like the artifact is obviously important, but it doesn't really do, yeah, for any viewer like myself, we just looked at it like, oh yeah, I mean, it's just they find it here, like whatever. You are chugging that liquid death like it is a beer.
I got a headache.
Do you have a headache?
Yeah, dude.
What a baby, this guy.
Fuck you, bro. So no, yeah, like
Wow.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. So
Yeah, take it back.
we're gonna talk. The main episode this week for the show is gonna be the synopsis of Halo and our feelings of this series up until the finale. So you'll get the finale episode next week. But I agree. I wish they would have really shown in the first episode how important Madrigal is, instead of trying to be like,
Right.
oh, big twist, reveal. And it's like, dude, you guys have tried that now a couple times in the show. Each
Right.
time I've been like, cool. The Covenant. I will say this right now.
We haven't even seen them in the past 2 episodes.
That's Friday's discussion. But I really wish they would just go into how dangerous the Covenant really are. Like, it's talked about, but in episode
They're
1,
not that scary. I mean, what?
Like-
I gotta be afraid of a grunt? Like,
well,
come on, bro. They're little
brutes,
babies.
elites, hunters, shit like that. Like,
Dude,
I
the
don't
jackals
know.
and like the grunts are all just like as
They're
a good
cannon fodder.
well, as somebody I really admire, James Willems from Funhouse would say, they're just little twig pussies.
Twig
They're not
pussies?
ripped. They're not ripped. They're
Oh
not
my
shredded.
God. But yeah, that's my gripe so far.
the
That's one of
elites
my
are
gripes.
like they're just thick.
They're
Like,
chunky.
and then the brutes are the only thing that look legitimately, like, not, I wouldn't say terrifying, but I would say like they look shredded. Like these
Yeah.
guys look like they're benching some serious weight. But yeah, I mean, we haven't seen the Covenant since I think episode 6. 7's all about Quan. So like maybe there's a flashback there. I don't remember because it's been 2 weeks since I watched it, but like there's a moment where she just has a flashback. I don't think so. Episode 8 has nothing really to do with the Covenant.
No, it doesn't.
And you don't see anything to do with anything.
They glass the planet pretty much, and
yeah, but there's no.
It's just space. It's just UNSC drama at that point. It's just like, we got to go there. We can't go there. We got to go there. We're not going there. And it's like,
well, it's Chief saying we got to do something, and then Key's going like, no. Well, what are you supposed to do? It's like you're doubting him, and I don't know why you'd do that.
thank you. There's okay. All right. Let's. All right. What did you think of episode 7? What would you recommend? Could you skip this
good.
episode? You think? Like I did.
All right. Well, this is a fundamental belief I have: is if you're watching a series, you don't skip.
Correct. I agree with that.
Are you kidding me? I watched the Breaking Bad episode for 45 minutes, where all they deal with is a fly in the meth lab.
I do like that.
And
episode.
I knew my time was wasted. I knew it was wasted. I knew Vince Gilligan and Bryan Cranston and what's his name? Aaron. I can't even think of his name.
Call him Jesse Pinkman.
Jesse Pinkman, but I know his name.
Yeah.
I can't think of it now. Aaron Paul.
Yeah.
They just sat for 45 minutes like, what if Walter just had to deal with a fly in the lab? And
Space
Jesse
Ghost
was
episode?
like, yeah, basically. It was a longer version of that. And it's like, but I'm no stranger to specific character episodes, because of the first time I saw that kind of happening was with The Walking Dead, because The Walking Dead would do that when they had 2 camps split. And I remember the feeling, because I remember the feeling like in the early seasons of the show where I was like, it was season 2, and I was like, I don't want to watch an entire episode about Shane. I don't give a shit about him.
Right.
Like, but then you have to, if the show is done well, which is the caveat here, if the show's done well, it makes sense and it matters. But if it's how this might shape up to be, you could skip it because it's, a lot of people like yourself and others don't like Quan. I don't particularly have the most massive of issues with her because, again, I haven't read the Halo books
Right.
since I was in like maybe 11 or 12. So yeah, nearly a decade ago.
Right.
And I, I've played the games when I was a kid through my life, not like I didn't play 3 and then go back and play 1 and 2. I didn't even actually
You beat them and
completely
you put them away.
well, I didn't even play for real. I didn't even play Combat Evolved until I had a little bit of a Halo kick after I finished Infinite last year.
Right.
I had never even touched it. I played 2, I played 3, I don't think I even played 4. I think the only ones I played through legitimately were 2, 3, and ODST and Infinite.
Right.
Because the other ones I kind of got bored with.
A lot of people did.
I know people didn't like 5. 4 I think was more lukewarm rather than just completely hated.
Yep.
But then that's my thing too, is for 7 I'd say you could skip it realistically, but I'm a person who really, I recommend not doing it in the event that the show ends up being good in some capacity, because
Right.
if you do it where it's like, oh, I'm going to skip it because I don't care about this character, and then that character comes to be important later and then you're stuck there asking questions, that's because you missed that episode. And this is where I'm going to say something kind of rude about this show or the writing of it, or maybe direction. I don't know what you'd consider it as. This show doesn't treat people like they're smart.
Thank you. Treats the audience very poorly, in my opinion.
I said this, I was talking about something else yesterday in the Discord, and of course, our friends, they were all like, dude, this guy's so boring right now. But what I was saying was, I watch, and this is not like a toot my own horn moment, I watch pretty sophisticated TV. I watch TV where I have to pay attention. I can't sit on my phone and just kind of scroll through Instagram or Twitter and just kind of like forget about it. Some other people can do that and they can still pay attention. That's perfectly fine. But I can't. If I'm watching a show like Peaky Blinders, I have to watch every moment because there's only 6 episodes per season. So they'd have to fill a lot. And they're not like an hour and a half long. They're an hour. They're like a regular Netflix or HBO Max kind of show. So I have to pay attention. And other shows like that I watch as well. The Wire, Mad Men, kind of, you got to pay attention through a lot of that. Halo doesn't do that. And it doesn't do that because it trusts the audience that they'll know what's going on. It's because you don't have to pay attention because they're going to, most of the shit that they talk about for an episode probably won't matter in the next one. As 7 kind of proves, because, well, 6 was an entire episode about Chief, if I'm not mistaken. 7 was an entire episode about Quan, or maybe it was the other way around, and 8 was all about Chief. Yeah, because Quan's not in the latest episode at all.
No, she's not at all.
So that's what they did. Which, like I said, I'm no stranger to from The Walking Dead. But that's part of it though too, right? Is The Walking Dead was, if you watched an episode and you didn't want to watch something about a certain character, then you skipped it, then you had to pay the price later if something big happened in that episode because you didn't know what was going on in the next one when they're brought back in, or that arc is completed in one way or another. But for this, it's like, with the way the show's going right now, they're not treating the audience very smart. But that's my personal opinion, as I still like the show. Like, I like Chief. I think Pablo Schreiber is great. I think he plays a great Chief. Obviously Jen Taylor, I think that's her name, who voices in mocaps Cortana, who did for the games.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
She's great. Would love to see more of her for the next season. Also, hopefully more of her in this final episode as being more of what we know her to be as. And everybody else in the cast is great. I mean, I don't know the names of the actors who played Jacob Keyes and Miranda Keyes, but they're both very good. I really like them. To anybody who doesn't like them because, well, in the games they're black, go fuck yourself. Grow up.
You mean the games are white?
The games are white. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely fucked that up. But like, seriously, we talked about this yesterday, and you weren't here for this.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a good friend of ours, Dan, and I brought that up. I'm like, well, the games are white. And he goes, okay, is there a reason? I said, no, they just were. And he goes, okay, then who cares are they black in the show?
Right.
And like, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
My only my only, not even concern, but my only thing that I would be paying attention to is like, do they try to make them different characters because they're black and try to give them a specific storyline
Nope.
or like an arc? Because that, no, they're just the same characters. They're just a different skin color. So at that point, I don't care because you're not changing anything that's been written about them before by the
Yeah, no, they're
original
great.
writers. If you were to say, if you're going to take what the original people wrote, whether in the books or the games, and then just made a completely different backstory for them because you want them to be black and now you're making a story for that reason, that's where I'm like, well, if the writers meant it a specific way and they were whatever they were for a specific reason, that's important to remember. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't change that because that's just not how that is, unless you got permission and you were like, hey, this is your body of work, I want to do this, what do you think, is this okay with you? If they say no, tough shit.
Move
If they
on.
say go
Yeah.
ahead, I don't care, more power to you, absolutely.
Yeah, no, those two are great.
Like you said, they're not different in the show by any means necessary.
No.
And I noticed it off the bat, and I remember when I noticed it, I texted you and I was like, somebody's gonna have a problem.
A lot of people are having problems with those two characters, but the thing is, like, they're all wonderfully acted, and
all
they
great
act
actors.
as if the characters in the game. The woman who plays Halsey is great.
I know who she is. I can't remember her name, but
She's
yeah, she does
great.
a great
I
job.
don't like what they're doing. Again, we will talk more on the main episode, but I don't like exactly how some characters are portrayed. This whole like Halsey super villain arc thing, and I'm like, dude, stupid.
Well, part of that is this is where I will agree with you, is they basically read through like her bio and were like, oh, so she's just kind of like a mad scientist thing. We can write something about that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how that feels.
Yeah.
Like I warm more to your perception of the show because it's like, I understand it. The writing is terrible. Like I could write this show better and I have no experience in screenwriting. Like
Right.
I write, but I have no experience. I write essays for college, but I don't have any experience screenwriting a show. But I mean, that's part of it too, though, is you got to ask, for something like this, how much license am I given creatively? And what it, you have to understand the source material. Peter Jackson did not just make Lord of the Rings on a whim. He read the books.
He read the books. He read everything to do with them too.
Exactly. Like he didn't make the Beatles documentary because he just liked "Can't Buy Me Love." Like he studied them. He knows who they are.
Yeah.
Met them, the two that are left, right? Like, so the same thing here is like, did they talk to anybody from Bungie? Did they talk to any of the writers? Did they play the games?
Even 343 at that point,
or 343?
Well,
yeah,
no,
like
they should have talked to Bungie and 343.
They should talk to both. Yeah,
I understand it's 343's IP now.
Sure.
Some of the original people over at Bungie could be like, "Oh, I wouldn't write Chief like that at all. I wouldn't do that with that character." Like,
yeah,
all right.
No, you're right.
A lot of this is going to be for Friday, so let's go on to episode 8.
Nick's so upset about this episode, by the way. He does not like it.
I am not like
he
these
doesn't
fucking
like
weird incels.
I wasn't gonna call you that, but you named them.
Yeah, fuck them. They're being ridiculous.
Why are they being ridiculous, Nick? What happens in this episode that they don't like?
Master Chief fucking pounds the cheeks, bro. He fucking loses his virginity. And
his virginity.
That's what they both did. McKay and McKay and Chief fuck.
Yeah, they have and I said this to you when I watched it, is it was more soft. Like it wasn't like a raunchy scene. It was very much
they just had sex. That was all it was.
It's a more connection building thing rather than just oh, this is what it's like kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
I'm trying to get my nut off and we're done.
It was very much like the Scar thing, right? Like seeing Chief Scars and then him seeing hers and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I laughed because I messaged you and I was making fun of it before it happened, and then it actually happened. I was like, oh no, I'm not lying. There's actually a sex scene.
Yeah, you were texting me. I'm like, okay. We've gotten nudity a fair amount of times, which again, thanks for the lazy writing for. You know what's gonna draw them in? Nudity. All right, cool. Thanks for that, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
And then they're like, you know what? We've already shown ass. We've shown side tit and ass. We've shown 2 man butts, 2 girl butts, and a boob. sex.
Like Peter Griffin.
Dude, you like that side boob? Well, you should.
Yeah, I shouldn't.
Um,
Yeah, that's exactly what it
I'm
is.
not outraged like some of these fucking weird people are. That people are like, this is the ultimate betrayal. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's just, it's a trope that they threw into the episode for a short. Okay, let me get some explanation out real quick.
Okay.
It's a trope they threw in the episode for a short-lived thing, right? What I think we may be overlooking here is because after the sex scene happens, which people are over exaggerating what happened in the sex scene.
There's no nudity.
It's a quick cut to sleeping thing. Like it's implied that they had sex.
Yeah, they kiss and it's implied,
It's
but they kissed
implied.
in a previous episode as well. So it's like,
Correct.
yeah, it's that's nothing new. Yeah, it's
So
just implied that he has sex with her.
so okay, it's done. She takes out the fucking energy sword from her finger. From her
Which
finger. That was
I
a
told
cool
you that.
scene. That was great FX.
I didn't. I actually looked away, and I think it was more not due to the visual, but
It was the
more to
sound.
the noise.
Yeah, the sound. It was great visual effects. It was great sound effects. I liked that a lot. What I think that we are overlooking is, regardless, he's in the episode says no one just gets rid of that long of indoctrination and switches to the other side. I'm paraphrasing here. And Chief goes, well, I did. Okay, great that you did. She did not. I think that regardless, she was using her connection with Chief and showing him this and that to get closer to what she needed to get closer to. Therefore, using the Chief. And she was going to betray them anyways. Okay?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
After she ripped the thing out, I think that, see, here's the thing, and here's what the difference is. Chief learns this indoctrination, but everybody in terms of who's beneath him, all the Marines don't care. They're on his side. The people that give him shit are the superiors, the people who want to control him, like Admiral Perengoski, I think is her name.
Yeah.
Obviously Halsey wants to control him to a degree. The other weird science guy that has a thing for Halsey's Flash clone, dead Flash clone. Yeah, that guy's weird. And then like I don't even think Jacob Keyes really has that, right? Like he does not like what happened. I think that's shown very clearly as he is not. Yeah, no. He understood it was for a reason, but he moves on. Or he not moves on, but he does not agree with the way that Halsey or Perengoski are doing things. Yeah. But everybody else on base, his fellow Spartans and all the Marines, all the MPs, we got you, Chief. We got you. Like, we got your back on this. She is first shown, Mackie is clearly shown to distrust humans because of how they hurt her and her little, like, I don't know, boyfriend or whatever. And when she's introduced, they torture her to a degree, not torture her, but like they abuse her.
They put her into a slum basically, and then
and then they just use like the little sticks or whatever to attack her whenever she doesn't listen, and then she's taken away. Episode. Well, and that's my point is that
you think it may have snapped her back into fuck you guys.
Well, I think she was making that transition because Chief was showing her like we're not all humans are. We're not all the same. There's a difference here, and it's not a hierarchy like you've been shown. And she was believing him because he's Chief. He's calm. He's collected. He knows what he's talking about. And I think at first she was clearly scared of him because of who he is, as she learned through Covenant. Yeah. But then when she's trying to explain your greatest weapon needs your help, they just flat out refuse to believe her. They're like, nah, bullshit. It's like, why would she lie?
Right.
Like, she's damn near on the verge of crying. And then she starts to get attacked and literally nobody in the room does nothing, and they cut to Perengoski's face. She's smiling.
Yeah. Okay. So that is good. That right there is decent writing. The only thing I cracked up with, I was
it's
like,
not decent writing. I hate Perengoski. I think that I want her to die in the next episode.
A lot of
I don't care how it happens.
A lot of them are throwaway characters. Okay, so my theory is incorrect because now that you've said it out loud, that does make sense.
She hits the thing. Remember, she touches the artifact. You see the guy behind her. His face gets burned.
Yeah.
I hope like Perengoski got flung into a wall and her head just like popped off like a Lego. So, I don't like her. I didn't like her at all to begin with because of how she treats Halsey and Chief. I flat out did not like her when she smiled because I was like,
Halsey. This super villain arc thing is so fucking stupid. Like Halsey's just like what? Like yeah, okay, I can believe that she has a backdoor to the Spartans. Okay,
Well,
obviously she has Cortana.
she's gone further, right? Like she
Yeah,
has
dude.
Miranda's eye. Like
She's like Gru for Halo, bro. I'm like
she's
get this bitch,
she's like a Bond villain.
dude. It's so tropey and stupid, and I'm like, okay, I'm not interested in Halsey anymore. Halsey's an
Right.
interesting character in the games, like,
Right.
and the only thing in the I know this is Silver, and I'm trying to understand it. They are not robots. Okay, like yes, you can help a
Right.
Spartan or detour a Spartan through their suit. Correct. They do have an inhibitor. Correct. It does not make
Right.
them robots. They're still able to think for themselves. Spartans are still human. They're not robots.
Right.
This narrative that Operation Z is a go, like MK Ultra type shit, where they just
Well,
go
that
time to kill. I'm like, this is dumb.
so that's the thing, right? Is that that's set up throughout the games and books and whatnot that she created them to be the weapons and also gave them that level of mental independence and whatnot.
Yes,
And for this, it's very much it's almost I would argue
like they're her weapons in my opinion.
the Zed thing comes off to me as obviously nobody knew about that except for her.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that was something she did on her own
Yeah,
because the UNSC would not have been cool with it.
it's like flash cloning. Yeah,
Yeah, but they like that's the one thing I will find that is odd, but also gives the show a certain drama. That's the thing, and I think this is the biggest issue with the show that people have with it is that there's no suspension of disbelief.
right,
There is no suspension of in the books, in the games. That's not how. Guess what, dude? Shit's different.
right.
Shit's different.
And I could grasp that, and I'm cool with that. But there's just certain angles that they are taking where it's like, listen, if you would have just
That don't
if you
make
would have
sense.
zigzagged a little bit further to the source material, I'm not saying for the series I wanted action, 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 a little bit of dialogue. I wanted exploration of just of John and some of UNSC and like just there is characters missing here. Like, where the
Right.
fuck is Johnson? Why would you not put Johnson in the show? Like, that is such an interesting character for Chief, like, to play off of. And there's a lot missing. And I think with
He's
this
busy, man.
episode, they're just focusing on things that if they had if they had a longer episode list, they were allowed to go like a couple more episodes. So
Like
instead of
10 or 11,
9,
12 maybe.
12 episodes, yeah, 12. Okay, do these episodes
Yeah.
that you're doing. Do them. But you don't. You had 9, and this is how you spent these. you,
These 8 so far.
Evan, there were 2 battle scenes, and they were short-lived.
3, come on now.
Okay,
Well, that's the
so
thing.
in this episode, there
long
is a cool fight. There is a cool
how long
fight.
how long do you want them to be though? Like that's
No, I don't
that's
want
the
them
question.
to be the entirety of the episode. I want there to be more exploration and just like I want to see Chief interacting with Covenant, and I want to see these vehicles being driven because you've seen the Warthog once, maybe
And the
twice.
Banshees.
I want to see the Banshees. When he hijacked the Banshee, I flipped. I was like, there we go. When that fucking jackal is crawling on the ground, his entrails are fucking just hanging, and he's crawling with him.
Right.
Sweet. I do want drama though. I want somebody to fuck up. I want to see Chief with more Spartans, and I want a Spartan to die in front of Chief. Get something. But like just the way they're going about this show, it just seems like they didn't have enough time, competent writers. They had a budget. But what
Yeah,
did
I
they
mean,
blow
they had
it on
10
to
million
not
an
have
episode.
anything in it?
They had 10 million an episode.
Right.
So that's and that's another thing I was gonna say before you were
Sorry.
going on. No, you're fine. No, you're fine. But like as a great example that I brought up earlier that also serves this purpose quite well is that people got mad about this in one way or another when The Walking Dead was airing because they were
Right.
like, well, you're following the comics too closely. It's just the same thing. All right, we'll change it up. But now you've completely changed it, and it's not the same. And it's like, what do you want?
What do you want? Right.
Like Like the people I was reading about on Twitter, right? It's
Oh
like
my
that
god, that was
one
cringe.
that one guy was just a complete and total idiot, like
Just call him what he
moron.
is. He's an incel.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's something. I'll say that. He may probably an incel, has a lot of issues, but like yeah, like they just race switched it or whatever he said, and it was like a feminist pervert agenda. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what's perverted about
I've
this
not
show?
seen one thing in the show that would suggest that, except for the lazy writing. But even so, the
But
fuck are
like
you
the lazy
talking
like
about?
there's no perverted agenda here, man. Like there's a woman's butt and her side boob, and then Chief's butt and some more butt, and like that's it. It's like
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
it's your average fanfare for a
Oh my
drama show,
god.
basically. But
Right.
like the same thing happened with The Walking Dead, was people were like, "Oh, it's just like the comics," and they were like, "Fuck it, we'll change it." And then they changed it, and they were like, "Dude, what are you doing?" And it's like, "You write the show, asshole."
Right. Right.
Like, and it's like at that point, it's like if they were to say that to me, I'd be like, I could probably still do a better job. But like, but that's part of it too. And I want to both agree and disagree with some people I was also seeing on Twitter who like they were just satisfying some egotistical writer, who like was just, and it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily true. The people you shouldn't blame necessarily maybe are the writers themselves, except for the people who did it, like D&D from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I don't know the names of these guys for this show, but like the same thing, who are like they're executive producers or whatever, they're tasked with creating this thing, showrunners, and they said themselves they didn't play the games, and that's obviously a red flag right off the bat. I mean,
They don't know. They
and
didn't really do their homework with a lot of the source material. No.
no, imagine you watched Mad Men, but it was created by a Gen Zer who had no idea of what the 50s or 60s were. It
This is what
wouldn't
you
be
get
Mad
at
Men.
that point.
Yeah,
You
it
get
wouldn't be Mad
Halo.
Men. It'd be like, oh yeah, no, we made a show about the 60s in New York, and it's like there are black people walking around that are a part of like the higher ups. It's like, you don't know what the 60s were then, do you?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
it's completely different. And
Exactly.
like that's what this is. It's like these guys didn't play the games for anything other than maybe reading the bios of the characters, but just like what I said, this Halsey arc that they're going on that you hate, which I don't necessarily like it either. And they are making her out to be more of a villain than I think she needs to be.
Right.
um
Yeah.
but like, same thing is, it's like they read her bio and they were like, oh, super smart, like clearly was able to create the Spartan program, flash clones, like basically top of the line intelligence here.
Yeah.
And they looked at that, and then they looked at her little picture of her, and she's got white hair and is missing an arm, and they were like, let's cast a blonde British woman, and because she's American in the games, if I'm not mistaken, she's not British, and she's still got both her arms, which maybe we'll see that happen in this next episode. She gets her arm cut off or something.
I'm
Um,
out.
what? Oh, he's looking it up. Um,
No, the episode stopped recording.
oh, what?
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna hit new recording.
Did it save?
Yeah. Yeah. 30 minutes of it did. Ready?
Okay, good. Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Technical difficulties. We're back. All right. Dr. Halsey.
Yeah. So yeah, same thing though. Is it's like they looked at some of these characters and they were just like, huh, how can we butcher that one? Like,
That's yeah.
and they did do that too. I would say really maybe just for her. I mean, she looks completely different from who she is in the game. Like, I mean, again, back to like the keys is whatever, right? No difference really. Like, sure, obviously the actors are black, but really it has no effect on the story and whatnot. And I can't necessarily say that Halsey not looking exactly like she is it either. But then I guess the question there is, why did you change it?
Yeah. What?
Like to add some more diversity into the show, sure, get it, make it, yeah, change some characters around like that, right? Cast more black, Asian actors, whatever you do, right?
I'm
But
cool with it. That's not gonna bother me.
for something like that, like with Halsey, it's like, well, what was the point? Was it? Don't say it was the budget, because you had $10 million an episode. You could have easily CGI'd her fucking arm out.
Right.
She just wears like a green sleeve or whatever, however they do it. Um,
I don't know. I yeah.
here's my question to you, because I thought about that.
Yeah, and then we're gonna wrap up in a minute.
They set up all this shit that you hate.
Yeah.
They set up all these things. They set up like you hated that Master Chief got laid. You hated.
I just thought it was unnecessary. I don't hate it. I was like, yeah, okay.
You don't like the Halsey arc. You don't like
Yeah.
the lack of action. You don't like a lot of things with this show. I understand why.
Yeah.
What happens if in this final episode they just blow your fucking mind?
I'd be
Like
happy.
like Johnson comes in, and he's messing shit up. He's like, got a cigar in his mouth. He puts it out in some elite's
Chomping on a
eye.
ciggy. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like, Chief's doing his
Get some
thing.
hell jumpers, maybe.
Cortana's like calling out, shots or whatever, and all the other Spartans are on it. Let's say one of them dies, probably Kai, just because that's kind of what it feels like they've been setting her up for.
Fuck both the other ones though.
Or you do one of the other ones as a way to change it. Halsey's trying to escape. Chief stops her, and then like because she crashes the ship because she tries to stop it, her arm gets cut off or whatever. So that
I
kind
guarantee
of
that's going to happen. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Keys and whatever. The Jacob and Miranda are both cool, but they take on bigger roles. Maybe Jacob takes up a bigger position because hopefully Admiral Parangoski got her head put through a wall from Mackie. I think they're gonna find the Halo at the end of this episode. I don't think they're gonna go there. I think they're gonna find it. If they go to it in the middle of the episode is when I call bullshit, because I'm like, you're speeding up the wrong things and you're slowing down the others.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's say they just go balls to the wall. Are you gonna completely change your mind, or are you still gonna be like?
I'm not gonna change my mind. I'd still say this is just a bad season, with grains of good things in it. It would give me hope for season 2, and I think what's gonna happen.
Do you think they'll cancel season 2 with how bad this one might get received?
It's doing just fine.
What does that mean?
It's doing fine on Rotten Tomatoes and shit. It's already been approved. It's been greenlit.
Yeah, but they can cancel it at any time.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think.
Do you think they're gonna change anything? Do you think this is gonna be just like an EA thing where millions of people bitch and then they don't change anything anyway?
No, I think they're gonna. They're probably have to take the feedback from everybody and go, okay, this is what we fucked up on. We need to do more in season 2.
Surprisingly, there's a lot more people that like the show than I thought.
Yeah, a lot of people do like the show.
7 out of 10 on IMDb, 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, 84% of Google users liked the show. I'm trying to look and see if there's is there an aggregate somewhere? Like Metacritic probably would have something. So look at here, let's just look real quick while we wrap this up, the reception.
Yeah.
The first season holds an average or approval rating of 70 based on 60 reviews. On Metacritic, the show has a weighted average of 61 out of 100 based on 19 reviews indicating generally positive. So to go along with that, I'm going to look up the Halo series on Metacritic, and we're going to look at the user review. What do you think it's going to be?
The user reviews are going to be piss poor. Maybe.
User score is 5.2.
Out of 10?
So out of 356 ratings, it's 5.2, which is
mediocre, right?
It's basically neck and neck. There's 18 mixed, 171 positive, and 170 negative. It is literally damn near just a 5, average.
It's gonna get greenlit.
Top user review is from Core Gamer 1408.
All right, let's read this and we're wrapping up.
Who is this fake non-canon? He spelled canon incorrectly, like a ship cannon, not canon, CANON. So you know how good this guy is. Who is this fake non-canon silver timeline for? Not gamer, capital G, Halo fans, and normies don't even care for this. 3 generations in my family have played Halo games together. What?
Cool.
Okay, who gives a shit? Seriously, back off to watch Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn again for quality live action Halo. Was Forward Unto Dawn live action? Or is that animated?
There was a short live action thing. There was the animated one. Yeah.
There's a web series. That had an ace lore depiction of Master Chief / Spartans with compelling characters with all the diversity and none of the woke. That's a buzzword that everybody loves to use that word when they don't understand something and they just are like, well, now it's woke. It's like, okay, give me an example of how it's woke. And what are they going to tell you? They're going to say Keys and Jacob are black. They're going to say Mackey's in there for no reason whatsoever.
Chief is a soy boy.
Chief is a soy boy, which is what? Define the words you're using.
You go fight him.
Why don't you go fight him?
We got to wrap up. It's a hot fix. It's
Whatever,
40
man.
minutes.
You made it take longer.
What?
You wanted to bitch about Chief getting laid.
Wrap it up. What'd you think about the goddamn episode?
I liked it. I've given my opinion. I've said more about the show than you have.
The episode was fine. Wait until the next episode. Wait until the main episode. The episode. This episode irritated me for sure. I was like, oh, okay. But we'll talk about that more next episode. How's that sound? The main episode. Because that episode's going to lead in to...
We'll take a bit longer for the final, yeah.
And the finale is getting its own episode too. Its own main episode. So
let's just say this hotfix is just is like your appetizer for the main episode, which is going to be us just discussing the show as a whole more.
Yes. And then next week you're getting more Halo, and we're putting it to rest till season 2.
Yeah, or if ever, depending on
like whatever. All right. Yeah. Well, that'll do it for this week's episode, everybody. Thanks again for listening to the WASD and Beyond podcast, Hot Fix. Again, check out our sponsors.
TV
Final
show.
Boss. What?
Thanks for listening to the wasd and Beyond TV show.
We are on YouTube.
I'm trying to screw up all every time he like grabs it.
So check out our sponsors, Final Boss and Doc Longy. Fuck. We are a part of the Spawn Diggity. Camp Network. I almost said Diggity. Spawn Camp Network, which is a culmination of a bunch of creators just making content with each other, having a good time. Check us out. You can check out the Diggity podcast, Build Bros, WASD and Beyond, and when it's ready, OBO or Objectively Bad Opinions podcast.
Yes.
Check us out on our YouTube, where we frequently are updating and uploading videos. We got Golf with Your Friends coming out soon, which that was a shit show because we were all fucked up. Got a lot coming out, so just get ready. It's gonna be good times, and we will see you guys this Friday for a main episode of the WASD and Beyond podcast. Take it easy.
Peace out.